The Pizzaplex era of FNAF feels very different from the original FNAF games we fell in love with. There's a change from nostalgic horror to futuristic sci-fi. Haunted animatronics are taking more of a backseat to rogue AI. The aesthetics, the gameplay, the amount of voice lines and personality the characters get, there's a lot of change that some love and some hate. Something else has changed. Fazbear. Fazbear Entertainment Inc. has been revived as Fazbear LLC in the Pizzaplex era, and with new management comes new human rights violations. I'm Candy Bunny, and here's why the new reincarnation of Fazbear has the old beat for sketchy, unethical, and downright illegal activity. Here's the brief history on Fazbear in its several iterations. If you're looking for something more in-depth, you might want to use the same resources I did: Hyperdroid's FNAF Uncovering the Business of Fazbear Entertainment, or Bon Swooch's The Mysterious History of Fazbear Entertainment. But here's the quick and dirty from me. Fazbear Entertainment Inc. was founded in 1983, as we know from their own tokens. This company was founded at the original Fredbear's in 1983 and lasted until the Pizzeria Simulator fire sometime in the 2010s or 2020s, depending on your timeline.
There is no need for you to return to work next week, as Fazbear Entertainment is no longer a corporate entity.
It's unclear to me if Fall Fest 83 was under the Fazbear Inc. name or before it, but I expect we'll learn more in The Secret of the Mimic. However, the Fredbear and Friends TV show, the Fazbear character merch we see the crying child Dave and other kids in the area own, and the Bite of 83 all take place under the Fazbear name. The next location we know of under Fazbear is the MCI location, a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. This location seems to have been quite successful and may have been open at the same time as Fredbear's, or open very shortly after Fredbear's. In Into the Pit, the MCI takes place in 1985. While the jury may forever be out on if Into the Pit is canon with the rest of the games, I believe we can trust that date, especially since it's the same year given to us in the Silver Eyes. The location struggles to stay in business due to the horror of the MCI and closes down. In the FNAF 1 newspaper clippings, they say, "After a long struggle to stay in business after the tragedy that took place there many years ago, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has announced that it will close by year's end." This is a little tricky, because if the MCI took place in 85 and the place is closed down in time for FNAF 2's opening in 87, it's hard to say the MCI was many years ago, but I'm pretty confident about the 85 and 87 dates. We could either write this off with the classic, "Scott didn't plan that far ahead, let's cut the man some slack." Or maybe this newspaper clipping is talking about the second opening in the same building, the FNAF 1 location. Either way, the FNAF 2 location was also a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, opens up and is shut down within the first 2 weeks after a whole new round of murders and the Bite of 87. FNAF 1 opens up and we get our best hints to the date of that location through the new interactive novel The Week Before. Ralph, the phone guy, upon hearing a recording of himself, will remark that he recorded it when his daughter Capelia was just born. Capelia is 11 in The Week Before, so it seems to me Ralph has worked at minimum a decade at Fazbear's. This would put FNAF 1 around 1993, but I'm open to other dates around then. It's approximately 1993. And if the newspaper clippings I was just talking about is the FNAF 1 location, then they have just announced that they are closing the location down by year's end. Around the same time as these locations, we have Afton Robotics. I am a fan of Hyperdroid's theory that Circus Baby's Pizzeria, Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental, and Afton Robotics are all subsidiaries of Fazbear Entertainment Inc. So we'll be counting the Sins of Afton Robotics towards Fazbear's tally. And finally, Fazbear's dying breath is Pizzeria Simulator. Pizzeria Simulator reveals that by the 2000s, Fazbear Entertainment Inc. was a franchise.
What are we talking about? We're talking about becoming a Fazbear Entertainment franchisee.
You may know how a franchise works, but I didn't learn until embarrassingly late in my education, so I'll explain here in case you are like I once was. Welcome to Business 102, class. Today's lesson is on franchising. In a franchise like McDonald's or Fazbear Entertainment, a person will pay a large sum of money to be allowed to open a location under the name of the franchisor. The franchisor, like the McDonald's Corporation, will provide the franchisee with their brand, their proprietary secrets like recipes, and access to their suppliers and trainings. In return, the franchisee must abide by the rules of the franchise, like employee uniforms and what items to sell. The franchisee pays the franchisor a percentage of their profits. If the franchisee is successful, it usually takes a couple of years to make the money back that they spent to be allowed to open the location. That's all for today. Class dismissed. This tells us there's a strong possibility many other Freddy Fazbear Pizza places were open since Fazbear became an incorporation. We don't know how many. If I was a young investor picking a franchise to make me rich, I would not pick the one that was associated with horrors untold and animatronics that smell like death. But perhaps the financially savvy of the FNAF universe felt otherwise, and many locations did open. However many opened, it seems the Pizza Sim location was the last franchise location to open, and everyone there died in a fire. That is the history of Fazbear Entertainment Incorporated, at least as far as we know it so far. But you didn't click on a video called The History of Fazbear, you clicked on the Sins of Fazbear. Let's tally up their misdeeds so we can compare it to the Pizzaplex. Offenses are separated into 3 categories: sketchy, unethical, and downright illegal. Let's start with the lightest offense, sketchy behavior. First off, Fazbear is just money hungry. This offense plays into some later, more serious ones, but even without them, they are concerningly obsessed with profit and cutting costs. If in FNAF 1 there weren't animatronics intent on killing you, it would still be sort of sketchy that they had their night security on a limited power allowance. And in FNAF 2, they can't afford more than one battery per night. Really, it makes you wonder what they're putting in the pizza, because I guarantee it's not real cheese. The second point on the sketchy tally board is that Fazbear does not seem to thoroughly disclose the roles of a job when they hire. Phone Guy remarks as much in FNAF 1, and the same can be said in FNAF 6.
You can imagine how having your head forcibly pressed inside one of those could cause a bit of discomfort and death. The only parts of you that would likely see the light of day again would be your eyeballs and teeth that pop out the front of the mask. Yeah, they don't tell you these things when you sign up.
This gives me the vibe of a company that says, oh, we're like a big family and everyone here wears many hats. But what they really mean is they're so understaffed that you'll be doing the work of a janitor, a cashier, an inventory control specialist, and a manager by the end of your first shift. And the third point on the sketchy tally board is that Fazbear fails to properly dispose of dangerous equipment. When the springlock suits are exposed for the hazards they are, Fazbear chucks them in a corner with a do not touch sign. Putting the dangerous equipment away probably would work for most lines of work, but there was a real risk of a curious child wandering into the safe room and climbing into one. When your line of work is children's entertainment, you really should be going the extra mile to remove hazards and not just chucking them in a glorified closet. Up next, we have the unethical. The perhaps not condemnable in a court of law, but the sort of actions no one is morally comfortable with a company doing. Top of this list is cutting costs at the expense of safety. I'm not even sure I need to explain this one, but every Freddy's location is a safety hazard for both guests and especially staff. Their 800-pound animatronics are full of glitches and malfunctions that they swept aside, and they let them perform because it would cost too much to get them fixed. And nowhere is this better illustrated than in FNAF 6, where we, the player, can decide to purchase Fazbear-approved attractions with some very high liability ratings. R.I.P. Helpy. Next up on this list is similar, cutting costs at the expense of employee welfare. I almost put this one in sketchy because I think anyone who's worked a minimum wage type job for a big company has become desensitized to this sort of thing. But it really is not cool for Fazbear or any company to care about money more than the people on the ground. And Fazbear takes it to the extreme. Like, we all clocked when FNAF 1 came out. Fazbear was asking people to put their life on the line for minimum wage. Not cool. Also on the unethical tally board is how very unsanitary these locations are. I'm thinking especially of how the animatronic performers in the MCI location were rank and had suspicious fluids coming out of them. And Fazbear still sent them out into the crowded pizzeria of children with their developing immune systems. As I said, the bar is higher for a children's entertainment venue to deliver on health and safety, and to say Fazbear is underperforming is an understatement. Our last sketchy tally is Fazbear's failure to investigate its employees, especially its higher-ups. Fazbear would rather sweep every instance that could result in bad press under the rug than get to the bottom of it to make sure it doesn't happen again. When murders, accidental death, and grotesque maiming occur, it always takes a public outcry for Fazbear to take action. And if they can pretend it didn't happen without losing face, you bet they will. Now onto the serious stuff, the truly illegal goings-on at Fazbear. Well, the owner of the franchise is a child murderer and the company repeatedly covers for him, either knowingly or because they don't want to know. It basically doesn't get any worse. Except it does, because as I said earlier, we're counting Afton Robotics as a subsidiary of Fazbear. So Fazbear's got child-killing weapons for animatronics that they loan out for children's birthday parties. That's just yikes, man. Hard to believe I'm about to make the case that the Pizzaplex's Fazbear LLC has Fazbear Incorporated beat, but here I go. But before I move on, I've got to give you guys a huge thanks. A few days after I uploaded my last video, I got some really horrible news, and I called off work, and I don't really have the words for how I'm feeling right now. But my last video happened to blow up overnight that same day, and so I was just sitting there receiving comment after comment of people complimenting my video and my theory. And I'm dead serious. Every single person who commented, even who disagreed with the theory, were so respectful and so kind. And a lot of you made me laugh. You know, I was sitting there devastated, and my phone was just lighting up with encouragement and kindness from strangers. And you made my channel blow up. I went from 15 to 700 subscribers at the time of writing this. So yeah, if anyone watching this was part of that for the last video, or just the last couple of days, I wanted to thank you for how kind you all were and let you know how much that meant to me. Okay, it's kind of hard to transition out of such a serious note, but back to the theory, I guess. I'm gonna rush over the timeline of the Pizzaplex because we're still in the middle of that story. But we know after Fazbear Inc. dissolved, someone revived the name as Fazbear LLC and is playing off the nostalgia and name of Fazbear to open the apparently wildly successful mega Pizzaplexes. And the Pizzaplex era is like if someone took all the failings of Fazbear, learned none of the lessons, made all the same mistakes, and decided on top of that they were going to promote eating disorders to children to make even more profit. Let's look over our tally board and see if there's any tally marks the old Fazbear has that the Pizzaplex hasn't adopted and rebranded in neon. Sketchy stuff. Money hungry. Definitely. A duffel bag message reveals animatronic repairs come out of employee paychecks, even if it's no one's fault. Not properly disclosing risks during the hiring process. I couldn't find evidence of the Pizzaplex's job listings, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt and take this one off. Failing to properly dispose of dangerous equipment. Absolutely. What are the Nightmare staff bots doing still zipping around the lower levels? On to the unethical. Cutting costs at the expense of safety. Always. They literally fired all of their security guards and replaced them with staff bots and are relying on their malfunctioning animatronics to keep kids safe. Cutting costs at the expense of employee welfare. Dude, they're cutting costs at the expense of employees. Everyone's getting fired because the staff bots are cheaper and more efficient. Unsanitary practices. I didn't find as much evidence on this in the main area of the Pizzaplex, but it's hard to picture it being sanitary. Luckily, Chica alone is going to give the Pizzaplex a point here. She eats garbage and then delivers cakes to children. Not a good look. And finally, not properly investigating their people. Well, we know they looked into Vanessa before hiring her. They just didn't make wise decisions with the information that they found. And they clearly didn't look deep enough to see that 4 out of 4 of her therapists died mysteriously. So yeah, they get that tally. On to the truly illegal. Failing to fix known issues that lead to bodily harm. Yes, all the animatronics have become dangerous and aggressive, and we see no evidence of a work order being put in. Cover-ups. This one's tricky. We know there have been other murders and disappearances of children and staff members alike, but we don't know much about them. The interactive novel VIP is going to be my source for this one. This is a major spoiler for the ending of VIP, but it's been out for a bit now, and it's free, so if you wanted to read it, you probably already did. If you defeat VIP once and for all and find your brother, you get this ending. Let's go home, Ike says. I just have to do one more thing, you say. On your way out of the Pizzaplex, likely for the last time, you stop at the security office and tell the gray-haired white guy there about what happened. The guard listens closely, nodding and taking notes. Well done, Devin, he says. And Ike. You don't know if it's more worrying that he believed your outrageous story than if he had dismissed it as a prank or a fantasy. I always thought that pig might be trouble. He was very intrusive. You couldn't agree more. Don't worry, Fazbear Entertainment will make this all go away like it never happened, he says, and especially that includes VIP. This will just be our little secret, huh? Okay, I don't think anyone else will believe me anyway. You look at Ike, especially Mom, right bro? Ike nods. When she asks how her day was, I'll just say it was very informative. And that's the truth. And there you have it, corporate cover-ups for murders and kidnappings, and the last tally to be matched, murders at the hands of higher-ups. And for that we have the all-staff meeting, where the remaining human employees of the Pizzaplex were killed after being promised cake. Now that's thinking with portals. Alright, Fazbear LLC is beat for beat with Fazbear Entertainment, except for on hiring practices, where we don't have enough information to say the new Fazbear is as bad as the old. And now we tack on the new Sins of Fazbear. Starting with the sketchy, hiring the lowest budget inspectors they can find, as evidenced in the AC inspection duffel bag note. Thank you for contacting low budget building contractors. We have done a preliminary inspection and find nothing wrong with your ventilation system. The loud clanging, banging, and scraping noises which were reported don't appear to be reproducible. Call us if it happens again. Invoice attached. Keith. Low budget building contractors, huh? I really feel like we're in good hands there. And to be honest, I think they should get an honorary giant point off just for reviving the Fazbear name. I don't know who signed off on it, but that is such an insensitive and questionable move. And now onto the unethical. Not Real Name Not At All has spoken about this in all of their videos on the Glam Rocks, but Fazbear has horribly poor treatment of animatronics with sentient AI. We see in the intro of Security Breach that these animatronics are capable of very complex feelings and high self-awareness. Roxy has a full conversation with herself in the mirror, and they are treated really poorly. Vanessa speaks harshly to Freddy and puts him down. Sun and Moon are shoved into a glorified closet since their living space doesn't have to be on display. And of course, Vanessa is instrumental in all the Glam Rocks getting infected by Glitch Trap. We see so many reports throughout the Security Breach that Fazbear is aware of the Glam Rocks' more serious issues, and yet makes no attempt to fix the root cause of the issue. This puts the human staff in danger, but also means that the Glam Rocks are forced to live and behave in front of kids with horrible bugs in their behavior models. The next unethical point against the Pizzaplex is promoting eating disorders, body dysmorphia, and anger management issues on young and impressionable kids by having their animatronics develop these disorders. I mean, just listen to the Mazercise entrance audio.
Welcome to Mazercise! Work off the calories while you eat! Sign up for a membership pass today! Super cool perks include discounts on pizza, nachos, fries, and cookies. Now that's the smell of fitness.
That is messed up at a child's entertainment venue. The first illegal point going against the Pizzaplex is for leaving toddlers in the care of Sun and Moon. Neither Sun nor Moon are able to care for or model good behavior for young children, and Moon is outright dangerous. But the real illegal activity here is failing to meet the Utah requirements of caretakers to children in a child care facility, because there are no human caretakers in this facility. And even if animatronics count in this universe/future, there's only one caretaker at a time, and I am so assured that there are more than 20 kids being kept in this daycare at peak hours. The Pizzaplex is losing another point here for building over the sinkhole. If they had just built over a regular sinkhole, we could give them the benefit of the doubt as an accident, but since we know they intended to turn that old pizza place into a museum, Fazbear is now implicated in falsifying inspection reports to get cleared to build here, and to build the heaviest attraction on top of it, no less.
Shameful.
And last, but certainly not least, attempted necromancy. It's probably not illegal, but it should be. And the heck is this guy? He should be dead. He probably is dead, and hopefully this is the mimic. But an honest attempt was made to resurrect Afton, and for that, they're getting their final strike. So, when we compare the tally boards, we find that the new Fazbear replicated the mistakes of the old, and made new ones along the way. I guess the proverbial apple doesn't fall very far from the tree, especially when the apple's whole shtick is being nostalgic for the glory days of the tree. That's all on this one, but if I missed any sins, you can comment and tell me. I'm trying really hard to read every comment, and you'll know I read yours if I heart the message. I'm going to try to recognize people who are regulars in my comments, so if you don't have anything to say, but you just want to let me know you're here, you can just say like, hi, or the mimic, or something. And of course, like, subscribe, the YouTube things. I have been Candy Bunny, and I have candy all day. Candy, candy, candy.